welcome back. Today we're going to be running through 3 bicep exercises you should be doing. And these are all going to be from a scientific point of view. Many people confuse fitness optimization with their lifestyle being more and more restricted. However, when it comes to fitness, so from a training point of view especially, it just means taking a more smarter approach, applying more and more better knowledge. It allows you to move much faster to your goal. So without further ado, here are 3 bicep exercises you should be doing from a scientific optimization point of view, so you can get the most out of your time. Starting with the bilateral cable curl. Bilateral simply means doing 2 ligaments at the same time. So for example, with arms, with biceps, this means 2 arms at the same time. Unilateral means, in this case, 1 arm at the same time. A benefit of doing 1 arm at the same time is because your brain is much more capable and able to focus on 1 muscle instead of 2, on 1 ligament instead of 2. So the quality of each rep and set will increase for unilateral movements. However, we do not always have the time to do everything unilaterally. Cables are king when it comes to training arms. And the reason is because they provide a constant resistance curve, meaning that the tension on the bicep at the bottom of the repetition is going to be as high as the tension on the bicep at the upper range of the repetition. And this is something that normal bicep curls, for example, with dumbbells seated or standing, do not have. At the bottom of the rep, in the lengthened position of the muscle, there's much less tension on the muscle compared to in the middle. Whereas with cables, it's constant throughout the full range of motion. This principle applies to one of the 5 parameters of successful hypertrophy exercise selection. And when it comes to barbell or dumbbell curls, these most of the time simply do not make the cut. As our second pick for today, I would go for the unilateral cable short head bicep curl. And why would I pick this one? Because it is a great combination with the previous one. Because you always want to have an exercise selection in which every muscle group you train has a movement which is lengthened position bias, which basically means that the hardest part of the movement is in the lengthened position of the muscle, which with exercise 1 is at the bottom. And in this one, the second one is going to be at the top. So that's a good optimization there from a scientific point of view. Therefore, this unilateral cable short head bicep curl would be a great pick. In addition, it's also a short head movement, whereas the other one focuses more on the long head of the bicep. And last but not least, as our third pick today, would either be a dumbbell bicep preacher curl, which would also be even better with a cable, or the bilateral short head bicep curl. What's so great about the bilateral short head curl is that the tension on the bicep is very different because you're training it through a very different angle. It's a load that comes from the top down in this case. You could also do it differently. So for example, set it up on mid-height with cables or in the lower part. But in this case, in combination with the other 2, a top-down movement would be very good. Reason being, you always want to train a muscle through various angles. People who say that fitness or bodybuilding is not functional are not right. Because ideally, in a perfect suited program, just taking personalization, lifestyle factors and all those things out of consideration, every program should make sure that you train all functions of the body. So for example, if you would look into shoulder movement, you want something that has shoulder elevation in it, so basically my shoulder goes up. You want something that has shoulder depression in it, which basically means shoulder going down. You want something with shoulder retraction in it, shoulder going backwards, and something that makes the shoulder move forward, because these are all functions of the shoulder. If you skip one, you're very likely to going to run into injuries some point in time, right? So you want to make sure that your program is set up in a functional way So you train all the functions of the body and stay healthy, which is also the case when it comes to training a muscle through various angles. Yes, it's true that you do not want to switch or program hop quite frequently. You want to stick to the same exercises. However, if you do that for quite a considerable period of time, you will start to notice that you just can't progressively overload anymore, even if you addressed other factors including lifestyle, volume, etc. At that point, it might be better to switch from exercises because it's just impossible to keep progressively overloading, and also because you want to train a muscle for various angles, which is not possible in one programming. So for example, when it comes to triceps, you can't hit a short head tricep extension like this while also doing it like this down, or doing it cross-body variation. It would just be too much volume to recover from. And if you would incorporate all of them into your programming, it would just be too much to really focus on and be able to progressively overload in those. All right, so it's better to just pick a couple and then switch up to another one when the time is right. And it is different for every person. If you would do 3, 4, 5 sets of each in your programming, then your volume would be way too much. And again, it's not about how much you can do, but about how well you are able to recover from it. And unless you are a bodybuilder who outside of training just lays on the couch all day, has nothing to do, no work, no nothing, basically has a life as interesting as a wet sock, then yeah, maybe it would be beneficial. But for all of us who actually have work to do, want to do other stuff, and have a normal life, it would be too much load to recover from. Another thing is, make sure you train with the right tempo. Yes, tempo on itself is not a parameter for progress, but people tend to forget that performing the exercise is not the main goal. It is only a tool to stimulate the right activation in the muscle, to create the right breakdown for then after, in your repairing stage, in your recovery stage, muscle protein synthesis can occur, which is basically the process of restoring those muscle fibers into bigger, stronger ones, right? So many people, they just move or go into the gym and they just kind of with the idea of, I just need to complete all of these sets and finish all of these workouts, all these exercises as fast as possible. So they do 10, 20, 30 sets per muscle group, maybe even, or just in total in a workout. But it would be much more beneficial to downscale that amount and focus on quality over quantity. And that's what tempo does for you. So tempo is not necessarily a parameter for gains in and of itself, but it helps in making all the other ones better. And remember, the exercise is a tool to stimulate the muscle and get the activation and the breakdown that you want. It is not the main goal. It's not the end goal. That's for powerlifters. We want to build our physique. We don't only want to build strength from A to B. We want to build muscle and strength on a weekly basis. So these are some extra tips along with some programming tips. And the last programming tip I would like to give you is that make sure you have a good, concrete, personalized plan. All right? Because just as we know with nutrition, it's energy balance first and foremost. So there has to be a balance there in line with your goal before you look into anything else. And with training, it's workload capacity plus recovery capacity versus the actual workload that you are doing. And this is different for each and every one of us. Our lifestyles are different, stress levels are different. All of these things should be taken into consideration, right? And then also in addition, the level of advancement per muscle group. So based on these things, you want to make sure that your programming is tailored towards you and you specifically, so you can continue to see progress. Because it's not about how much you can do, but about how well you can recover from it. All right, I hope you made it this far into the video. I hope it's been an informative one, a useful one for you. So these are my top 3 bicep exercises that you should be doing. There are multiple options. I gave you a lot of tips. in this one when it comes to science, into programming, short head, long head, lengthened position, shortened position bias, and also training the muscle for various angles. Apply this with a good, concrete, personalized plan where workload capacity, recovery capacity versus the actual workload you are doing is balanced. Create a good balance and nice mix of all of these things and watch how you will 2 to 3x your progress. If you struggle with these things, if you don't know where to start, then hit up the link in the description and we will set up a one-on-one free strategy meeting consultation. And we will look into which steps you need to take to optimize your approach to training. And remember, optimization does not mean lifestyle restriction. It just means investing the time that you're already investing in a better way so you can see more results in the same invested time. Optimization. See you in the next one. Get big, stay big, and be the best version of yourself that you can be in all fields of your life. Ciao Bella.